I really like this because it's sort of me. It's a digital work of a analog studio, which is closed down. I'm an analog guy in a digital world. I'm trying to climb into this postmodern world. I'm Neil Prinsen. I was an art teacher for 38 years. And painting, printmaking, drawing, playing around with any sort of medium, I'm quite eclectic. I would call myself a painter, although I do mostly painting. I really like printmaking, so I play. When I was very young, I was in grade 3, competing with 3 people for being the best drawer in the class. One was Tony Schweitzer, who gave up and became a minister. One is Land. I can't think of his first name right now. I don't know what happened to him. I think he became a car mechanic. And I didn't know what I was going to do. I went to Calvin. And actually, I also took art lessons at the art gallery, which was an old, large home in Edmonton at the time. And what I remember about that is the director of the gallery, who ran these classes Saturday morning, said to try not to use green. I have no idea what he meant by that, but I tried not to. I think what he really meant was, we make a tree trunk brown and give it green leaves. But he didn't explain that, and there's so many nuances to green. But as a kid, you didn't understand that. So, a little confused for years about green. And then I went to Calvin, became an art major. I became an art teacher, which I was not going to do. I was going to go to the academy, and I was sort of toying with the idea of going, more of a dream than a reality, with the academy in Amsterdam. Calvin required an ancient and a modern language, unless you went to education also, because you still had to get your majors and minors. You didn't have time for 2 languages. So I switched to education to escape the language requirement, and they let me take Dutch. Because Latin was Greek to me, so was French, and I don't know any Greek. So I became an art major. I needed a job, and I ended up teaching in an inner city school, all-black school, for 2 years, which was a great experience. And then I got married and moved my wife, who was from New Jersey, back to Canada. And I got a job at Colony High School, where I taught for another 36 years. But fairly soon it came to the conclusion that it was the best possible job I could have. I loved teaching. I loved being immersed in art every day. So now I am here, still playing with art every day. Stone lithograph. You know the lithographic process? Mm-hmm. Traditionally on limestone. And on limestone you draw on it with a grease pencil, and then you do a wetting solution on it. And then you do on a special type of press that sort of pushes over like this. Because the wetting solution, you have to ink it, I forgot, you ink it, the grease part, you do wetting solution and your big roller, you ink it. Wetting solution doesn't take ink. So this is actually done in a limestone. Then he and John Snow and Maxwell Bates found this old printing press in the back of an old printing house. Asked if they could have it, put it in John's basement. He was actually a banker, and started making lithographs, and the first in Western Canada. You have to do print. Each color is printed. You don't separately, so you build up your colors. So you have to really work it out. But it has a real feel for the litho, because it's important, I think, that you have a feel for the medium. You don't just make a nice picture, you got to feel it. They love lithography and it has a feel. So it has a little crude, I kind of like it. This is Gordon Smith, also silkscreen, called Birthday. It's not, doesn't title it on here. It's called Birthday, because like I said, I do research. And this is on his birthday. He's really into black. He did some black paintings. This was done, I think in 1972, a long time ago. And it takes a little getting used to this one, but I like it more and more, the more I see it. Okay, here is John Snow's partner. By the way, John Snow is in the National Gallery. So is Maxwell Bates, and this is really one of my favorite pieces, The Beggar King. But again, it's so direct. Now, a lot of people say, well, this guy can't draw. He's an expressionist. He was a bit of a, I don't know, maybe a little more difficult. He also had a stroke and his left arm didn't move him. He spent 5 years in a prisoner of war camp in Germany during the Second World War. That changed somebody. When Goujon came here, he was a professor of art in China. The Banff Center, where he had gone on a cultural exchange, helped him get out of China, got the proper papers through the embassy, he didn't escape or anything. And he got here, needed a job, spoke no English. He got a job at UBC finally, clearing tables. And he was clearing tables and he saw this guy take a can and crush it. He said, I feel crushed like that can. As a professor at University in China, I'm now a busboy at the University in Canada. I feel crushed like that can, but all cans are the same until they become crushed and then are become unique. So he put a positive spin. He started doing paintings and he silk screens of crushed Coke cans, crushed beer cans, and that sort of thing. And then he got a job later helping in the print department. Then he now he's a tenured professor. He gets moved up from busboy. But it's a pretty cool story. I think the cross is overused. So how can you use something which is so powerful, such a powerful image, and have it reduced to decoration and nice sort of stuff? The Tau cross, which goes like this, and probably the Romans had a spike on top and they just sort of stick to the charge. Now, when they started doing paintings, they wanted to show that piece of paper, King of the Jews. So they had to put an extension on it. And there they could have the piece of paper. That's how that happened. And in all probability, most crosses were X's. Arts are essential to the church. We have music all the time. It may not always be my favorite, but we have music. It's always been very important. The Christian Reformed Church always had a big organ, traditionally. It's a new time, new age, and we do things different, which is good, which should happen. So the arts are important. Liturgy is important, which is, in a sense, an art in itself. But what art can do is like the Book of Hours, what those books were. It can be contemplative. It can speak to it. I think art has a place in life. Church is part of our life. Art is important. Art is not about decoration. Art is about exploring too. Artists explore. A child gets first thing he does, he's exploring the possibility of what this is, mark making. Next he does this. It's mom with arms and legs. It's a head. Young children, this is advanced. You're putting now fingers in. Don't necessarily have fingers and on it. maybe not even a mouth sometime. But a young child, what does he know? The mother's face. That's what he relates to. And slowly, he does a body. They become more and more aware. The world expands, and that's what art becomes, exploring the world in a bigger way. Look at things you've never looked at before. Kathy Falk, who's a Christian artist, beloved by the National Gallery, they have a huge collection. She said, if you can't appreciate the cracks in the sidewalk, how can you appreciate the mountains? If you can't be aware and see the ordinary, how possibly can you, when you look at the extraordinary, understand it? You have to look what's right around you, which is quite amazing sometimes. She's done a lot of paintings that way. I used to do an exercise with my students. So go home, do a sketch what you look outside your window, your bedroom window. Often they would say, I don't see it, there's nothing out there. I said, and you live in the twilight zone. Go back and do another look. And then, so there's a house, maybe you just see the house next door. Maybe you just see that window. Maybe whatever you see, do it. I've got some great work. What they saw looking out their window. I did a whole thing on that, a room with a view. Every room. Realtors use a room as a view. The living room has a great view. Every living room has a view. It just varies what the view is. Some people prefer a certain kind of view, and some views are more spectacular. But all views are all interesting. And we need to learn to look. That's what teaching art was about. I don't want to make artists. Some, yes, if they don't look like that's where they're going to go, I encourage them. But more importantly, look around you, see what you see every day. And that has, it's important.